Right after giving birth, Emily felt a mix of joy and exhaustion. Holding her newborn son, Liam, in her arms, she thought this was the happiest moment of her life. But that happiness quickly turned into fear when she noticed her mother-in-law, Patricia, standing by the door, whispering urgently with Adam. They seemed tense, and Emily's heart sank. Something was wrong. She tried to focus on her baby, but she couldn't shake the feeling that they were plotting something against her. Patricia leaned closer, pretending to help, but her hands moved toward Liam as if she wanted to take him away. Emily's stomach tightened. She knew instinctively that she had to protect her child. When she asked Adam what was happening, his voice was cold and distant. He muttered that Emily needed to rest and let them handle things. Emily's blood ran cold. His words weren't comforting. They were dismissive, almost like he was agreeing with his mother. Fear mixed with anger, but Emily stayed calm. She wrapped Liam closer to her chest and slowly sat up, making it clear she would not let anyone take him. Patricia's eyes narrowed, and she tried to argue, saying Emily wasn't ready to care for the baby. Emily shook her head, her voice firm despite her weakness. "He's mine to care for," she said. Adam looked away, avoiding her gaze, and that was all the confirmation she needed. She was alone in this fight. Over the next few days, Patricia's interference didn't stop. She offered advice on feeding, on how to hold Liam, and even on what clothes he should wear. Every suggestion came with a hidden insult, a reminder that Emily was inexperienced and emotional. Adam hardly defended her, sometimes laughing off his mother's comments, sometimes joining in. Emily felt humiliated, trapped in her own home by the very people who were supposed to be family. One night, she overheard Patricia whispering to Adam that Emily wasn't fit and that maybe the baby would be better off with them for a while. Emily's heart raced. She realized this wasn't just interference. It was a plan to take her baby away. She thought about leaving, about taking Liam and running to a place where she could protect him. But she knew she had to be smart, not impulsive. Emily started quietly documenting everything, the late-night conversations, the arguments, even the small ways Patricia tried to manipulate her. She reached out to a trusted nurse from the hospital for advice. The nurse listened, shocked, and encouraged her to seek legal help. That tiny bit of support gave Emily strength. She felt a fire inside her, a determination she didn't know she had. The following days, Emily grew more assertive. She spoke firmly to Adam and Patricia, making it clear she would not allow them to take Liam or control her life. The tension in the house became unbearable for them, but Emily didn't back down. She knew that protecting her baby and standing up for herself was the only way to reclaim her dignity. Emily's journey had just begun, but in her heart, she felt a mixture of fear, anger, and courage. She knew the road ahead would be hard, but she also knew she would fight for her child no matter what. Nothing would stop her from keeping Liam safe and raising him with love, away from the cruelty and betrayal she had just discovered. Patricia's presence in the hospital room grew heavier each day. She didn't just offer advice. She questioned everything Emily did with Liam, from how she held him to how she fed him. One afternoon, Emily heard her say softly but firmly to Adam, "He belongs with our family. She's too emotional to raise him properly." Emily froze, her hands gripping Liam's tiny body. The words cut deeper than she expected. How could her own mother-in-law think she wasn't capable of loving or caring for her child? Emily tried to keep calm, but her eyes filled with tears. Adam, instead of defending her, nodded and muttered, "You're right. I should have married someone stronger." Emily's heart sank. The man she loved, the father of her child, was siding with his mother. Humiliation washed over her like a cold wave. She felt small, exposed, and trapped in a nightmare she couldn't wake up from. The nurses noticed the tension immediately. One of them, a kind woman named Rachel, stepped in gently. "Is everything okay here?" she asked, eyeing Patricia's rigid posture and Adam's uneasy expression. Patricia quickly smiled and said it was all a misunderstanding, that she was just trying to help. Adam didn't add anything. Emily knew the nurses weren't convinced, but there wasn't much they could do without proof. Despite their smiles and polite words, Emily felt the hostility surrounding her. Patricia never left her side, offering help that was more like control. Every time Emily tried to feed Liam or change his diaper, Patricia hovered, pointing out mistakes that didn't exist. Adam would occasionally make a sarcastic remark, calling her nervousness natural. But Emily knew it was more than that. They were undermining her confidence, making her doubt herself at the very moment she needed to feel strong. Emily's mind raced constantly. How could someone love a child yet treat its mother with such disdain? She tried to focus on Liam, to ignore the cruel whispers and sideways glances, but it was exhausting. Even the hospital staff who were kind to her couldn't be with her every moment. She realized she needed to stay alert at all times. One evening, Patricia tried to take Liam while Emily was resting. Emily immediately held him close, looking Patricia in the eyes. "He stays with me," she said quietly but firmly. Adam stepped forward, but Emily didn't waver. Patricia huffed, pretending to be offended, but backed down slightly. That small victory gave Emily a spark of hope. She could stand her ground. The emotional weight of their words lingered, though. Every comment, every sideways glance, and every whispered plan reminded Emily that she couldn't trust Adam or Patricia. She had to be vigilant, not just in the hospital but later at home. Emily realized that protecting Liam wouldn't just be about love. It would require courage, strategy, and resilience she didn't know she had. That night, Emily held Liam close as she stared at the ceiling. She promised herself that no one, not even her own husband or his mother, would ever control her child or humiliate her again. The battle had only begun, and she would be ready. When Emily returned home with Liam, she had hoped for peace and a chance to bond with her baby in privacy. Instead, she was met with Patricia's suitcase already in the guest room. "I'll just stay for a few days to help," Patricia said with a smile that didn't reach her eyes. Those few days quickly turned into her taking over the entire household. She decided Liam's feeding schedule, laid out which clothes he should wear each day, and even chose where the crib should be placed in the nursery. Emily felt her space shrinking, her authority over her own child slipping away. Adam didn't stop her mother. Instead, he often laughed at Emily's protests or called her too sensitive. When she suggested a different schedule or a change in routine for Liam, he would shrug and say, "Mom knows best." The words stung more than any argument, because they came from the man she trusted. Emily felt isolated, watching her husband support the very person undermining her every decision. Patricia's control extended beyond Liam. She criticized Emily's cooking, told her how to clean, and even commented on the way she walked through the house. Every attempt Emily made to assert herself was met with a subtle eye roll or a condescending remark. She began to feel like a guest in her own home, as if she were living under someone else's rules. Even small victories, like getting Liam to sleep through the night, were dismissed with a "he's just lucky tonight" comment, stripping her of pride in her own parenting. The tension in the house was constant. Emily would wake in the middle of the night to find Patricia in Liam's room, rearranging blankets or checking his temperature, claiming she was just making sure he's comfortable. Emily wanted to yell, but she knew arguing with Patricia and Adam together would only make her seem unreasonable. She kept quiet, holding Liam close, and silently vowed not to let them break her spirit. The emotional toll was heavy. Emily felt lonely even when Adam was in the room. He seemed present physically but absent emotionally, siding with his mother or ignoring Emily's feelings. She realized that trust was gone, and the warmth she had imagined for her first days at home with her child was replaced with anxiety. She couldn't relax, couldn't fully enjoy Liam's smiles or tiny movements, because at any moment Patricia or Adam could challenge her or belittle her efforts. Even small moments of happiness were stolen. Feeding Liam, changing his diapers, or cuddling him became tense activities, shadowed by Patricia's critical gaze. Emily tried to talk to Adam, explaining how controlled and powerless she felt, but he dismissed her concerns, saying she was overthinking everything. By the end of the week, Emily felt like a stranger in her own home. The place that was supposed to be her safe haven now felt like a battleground. She realized that protecting Liam would require more than just love. It would require courage, planning, and a readiness to stand firm against both her mother-in-law and her husband. She had to reclaim her home, her life, and her child before it was too late. One night, Emily was awake feeding Liam when she heard voices in the living room. She froze, recognizing Patricia's whisper. "She's just not ready for this," Patricia said. "We need to make sure the baby stays with the right family." Emily's heart sank. She had hoped it was just her imagination, but now there was no doubt. Her mother-in-law was planning to take Liam away. Then Adam spoke, his voice low but clear. "Maybe she should go stay with her parents for a while. It'll give her time to rest, and we can make sure things are okay here." Emily's hands tightened around the blanket she was holding. Her husband wasn't just listening, he was agreeing. They were talking about pushing her out of the picture entirely while taking control of her baby. The betrayal hit her harder than anything before. She sat there quietly, listening, feeling a mix of fear and anger. Patricia's plan wasn't subtle. They were working together, and she was the target. Everything she had been through in the hospital, every insult and controlling act, had been leading to this moment. Emily realized that if she didn't act, she could lose Liam forever. Emily's mind raced. How could they think they had the right to decide who should raise her child? How could Adam, the father of her baby, even suggest sending her away? She felt tears burning in her eyes, but she didn't let them fall. Crying now wouldn't solve anything. She had to be smart, focused, and ready to protect her baby. She quietly put Liam down in his crib, making sure he was safe and comfortable, and retreated to her room. Emily knew she needed a plan. Leaving her child with Patricia, even for a minute, now felt dangerous. She thought about who she could trust, anyone who could help her stay close to Liam and protect him from being taken. Emily also began thinking about proof. She needed evidence of their intentions. Their whispers, their plans, and Adam's agreement to send her away could all be used later if things escalated. She couldn't just rely on confrontation or arguments. She needed a strategy that would ensure Liam stayed with her, where he belonged. That night, Emily lay awake, holding her baby close. She whispered softly to Liam, promising him that she would never let anyone separate them. Fear was still there, but it was mixed with determination. She realized that protecting her child wasn't just about standing up. It was about being prepared, careful, and strong in ways she hadn't imagined before. By morning, Emily felt a shift in herself. The realization that her family-in-law wanted her out had woken something inside her. She wasn't just going to survive this, she was going to fight, and she would do whatever it took to keep Liam safe. Her love for her baby became her weapon, and her courage began to grow. For the first time, she knew that she couldn't rely on Adam or Patricia. She had to rely on herself, and that was exactly what she was ready to do. One afternoon, Emily was feeding Liam in the living room when Patricia suddenly lunged forward and grabbed him from her arms. "You're holding him all wrong." Patricia snapped, her face red with anger. Emily froze, shocked and terrified, as her baby's comfort seemed completely ignored. She tried to reach for Liam, but Patricia tightened her grip and refused to let go. Adam, who had been sitting nearby, shouted at Emily, "You're too weak to be a mother. You can't handle him." His words felt like a punch to the chest. Emily's heart ached, not only from the insult, but from the betrayal of the man she trusted most. The humiliation burned deep, leaving her feeling small and powerless in her own home. She could hardly breathe, but she refused to yell back or make a scene that might scare Liam. For a moment, Emily considered giving up, thinking maybe she couldn't win against both her mother-in-law and her husband. But then she looked at Liam, his tiny hands gripping the blanket, unaware of the storm around him. She felt a surge of determination. She couldn't let anyone take him, not even the people who were supposed to care for him. She had to protect her child no matter what. Emily slowly got up, her hands shaking but steady, and reached for Liam again. She held him close to her chest, her body acting as a shield between him and Patricia. "He stays with me," she said quietly, firmly. Her voice was calm, but there was no mistaking the resolve behind it. Patricia huffed, clearly annoyed, but let go. Adam just stared, anger and surprise flickering across his face. In that moment, Emily realized something important. She couldn't rely on Adam or Patricia to respect her. She had to rely on herself. The baby didn't need her to be perfect. He needed her to be strong, brave, and determined. That small moment of clarity filled her with a sense of power she hadn't felt before. The humiliation and fear still lingered, but they were now mixed with courage and focus. Over the next few hours, Emily stayed alert, holding Liam close and watching Patricia carefully. She made small, careful decisions to keep him safe, learning to act quietly but decisively. She started thinking about long-term solutions, how to prevent them from taking control again, how to protect her baby legally, and how to reclaim her independence in her own home. Emily understood now that this battle wasn't just about the momentary fights or insults. It was about her life and her baby's future. The anger and betrayal she felt were real, but she chose to turn them into strength. She promised herself that she would never let anyone make her feel powerless again, and she would fight for Liam with everything she had. That evening, as she rocked Liam to sleep, Emily felt a new sense of determination. She was no longer just a mother trying to survive her family's cruelty. She was a protector, ready to face anything to keep her child safe. The breaking point had passed, and from it, Emily had emerged stronger, wiser, and ready to take the next steps in defending her family. Emily knew she couldn't face Patricia and Adam alone anymore. The fear of losing Liam was too great, and she needed help beyond what she could manage on her own. One afternoon, she quietly called Rachel, the nurse from the hospital who had always been kind to her. Emily explained everything: Patricia's control, Adam's insults, and the moment they had tried to take Liam away at the hospital. Rachel listened carefully, nodding in understanding, and told Emily that she needed to get legal help. "You have the right to protect your child," Rachel said softly. "You don't have to do this alone." Emily felt a mix of relief and determination. Talking to someone she trusted made her realize that action was possible. She began carefully documenting every incident. She wrote down Patricia's aggressive behavior, Adam's cruel remarks, and the way they tried to manipulate her both at home and in the hospital. She even kept small notes about times when Liam had been put in uncomfortable or unsafe situations, making sure she had a clear record of the threats to her child. Once she had enough notes, Emily started looking for an attorney quietly, without telling Patricia or Adam. She needed someone who could guide her through the legal steps to protect Liam and, if necessary, separate herself from her husband. After a few calls, she found a lawyer who specialized in family cases and explained her situation. The attorney listened carefully and told Emily that she had strong grounds to request custody and that her documentation could be very helpful in court. Emily also began thinking about practical steps. She arranged for a safe place to stay with Liam if things escalated at home. She quietly packed some essentials, baby clothes, important documents, and items she and Liam would need, so that she could leave immediately if necessary. Everything was done in secrecy. Patricia and Adam couldn't know what she was planning. Each day, Emily felt more in control. The fear that had weighed heavily on her began to shift into quiet strength. She realized that taking action didn't mean being confrontational or angry. It meant being smart, prepared, and determined. Her focus was clear: protect Liam, reclaim her home, and assert her rights as a mother. Even small victories, like standing firm when Patricia tried to give Liam a different bottle or correcting Adam's dismissive comments, gave Emily confidence. She was no longer passively enduring their control. Every note she wrote, every phone call she made to the attorney, every plan she quietly put in place reinforced her sense of power. By the end of the week, Emily felt a mixture of nervousness and hope. She knew that confronting her mother-in-law and husband legally would be difficult, but she also knew it was the only way to protect Liam. For the first time, she felt ready to fight back, not with anger or revenge, but with preparation, courage, and the determination to secure a safe, stable life for her baby. Emily held Liam close that night, whispering softly to him, promising that no one would ever take him from her. For the first time, she truly believed it. One afternoon, Emily walked past the guest room and froze. Patricia was quietly stuffing Liam's clothes into a suitcase. "He'll stay with us for a few weeks," Patricia said, glancing up with a smile that didn't reach her eyes. Emily felt her blood run cold. This was no longer subtle control or manipulation. Patricia was openly trying to take her baby. Emily stepped forward, her voice firm. "He's not going anywhere," she said, holding Liam close. Patricia laughed lightly, brushing it off as if Emily were overreacting. "You're just tired and emotional," Patricia said. "You're his vessel, that's all." The words hit Emily like a slap. How could someone reduce her role as a mother to just being a vessel? How could Adam, the father of her child, allow this? Adam, standing in the doorway, shrugged. "You're overreacting, Emily. It's not a big deal. He's just going to stay with us for a little while." His calm tone, meant to pacify the situation, only fueled Emily's anger. They both seemed to think she had no real claim, that she was weak and passive. But in that moment, something inside Emily snapped. She realized she couldn't keep waiting, arguing, or hoping they would change. She had to act decisively. She looked at Liam's innocent face, his tiny hands clutching her shirt, and knew she couldn't let anyone treat him, or herself, this way. "Enough," Emily said firmly. "I'm leaving, and I'm taking Liam with me." Patricia's smile faltered. Adam's eyes widened, surprised by the sudden strength in her voice. Emily didn't hesitate. She had packed a small bag of essentials earlier, quietly preparing for this exact moment. There was no yelling, no chaos, just calm, determined action. Patricia opened her mouth, but Emily continued. "This is my child. I am his mother, and I will protect him. I will not let anyone take him from me." Adam opened his mouth to argue, But Emily didn't wait for him. She walked to the door, holding Liam securely in her arms, and left the house. Every step she took was filled with purpose, a silent declaration that she would no longer be controlled or humiliated. Outside, Emily took a deep breath, feeling a mix of fear and relief. She knew the road ahead wouldn't be easy, but for the first time, she felt in control. She was no longer hiding, waiting, or hoping for their approval. She had made her decision, and nothing would stop her from protecting Liam. As she drove to her sister Lauren's home, Emily felt a weight lift from her shoulders. The final straw had broken the illusion of safety in her own home, but it had also awakened her strength. She had drawn a clear line. Liam's safety and her dignity came first, and she would fight for both, no matter what challenges lay ahead. Emily arrived at her sister Lauren's home with Liam, her heart still pounding but filled with relief. Lauren greeted her with a tight hug, understanding immediately how serious the situation was. For the first time in weeks, Emily felt a small sense of safety. She could finally breathe without constantly worrying that Patricia or Adam would try to take Liam from her. That same day, Emily contacted her attorney to move forward with legal action. Her lawyer helped her file for emergency custody, emphasizing the danger posed by Patricia's controlling behavior and Adam's failure to protect their child. Emily explained everything: the hospital incident, Patricia's constant interference, Adam's insults, and the recent attempt to take Liam from her home. The attorney reassured her that the documentation she had kept would be crucial in court, giving Emily hope that she could legally secure her child's safety. Meanwhile, Adam and Patricia were furious. Adam called Emily repeatedly, accusing her of stealing their grandchild and trying to manipulate the situation. Patricia sent messages to Emily, pretending to be concerned, but laced with threats about taking Liam back. Emily ignored them, focusing instead on her child and the legal steps she was taking. She knew engaging with their anger would only give them more power, and she refused to give it. At Lauren's house, Emily slowly began to settle in. She set up a nursery space for Liam, organized his things, and started creating a routine that was free from constant criticism. Even small victories, like successfully feeding him or putting him down for a nap without interference, gave her confidence. She felt the weight of the past weeks, but also the power that came from taking control of her life and her baby's safety. Emily's attorney guided her on what to expect in court and explained the process clearly. She learned that the judge would review her documentation, the nurse's testimony from the hospital, and her account of the attempted baby removal. Emily felt a mixture of nerves and determination. She knew the process might be challenging, but she was ready to face it head-on. Every step she took was focused on ensuring Liam would remain with her, where he was safe and loved. The emotional toll of leaving her home was heavy, but Emily drew strength from knowing she had acted decisively. She was no longer waiting for Patricia or Adam to change. They had shown who they truly were. Now, she was taking the necessary steps to protect her child, secure her rights, and reclaim her independence. Even during the tense moments when Adam or Patricia tried to intimidate her, Emily held firm. Her love for Liam, combined with her courage and careful planning, gave her the strength to move forward without fear. She realized that leaving her home and fighting legally wasn't just about protecting her child. It was about reclaiming her dignity and refusing to let anyone undermine her again. That night, as she watched Liam sleep safely in his new room, Emily felt a quiet sense of victory. She had taken the first real steps toward freedom, and nothing could shake her resolve. She knew the fight wasn't over, but for the first time, she felt confident that she would win. The day of the court hearing arrived, and Emily felt a mix of nerves and determination. She held Liam close as she entered the courtroom, knowing this was the moment that could secure his safety. The room was quiet, and the weight of the situation pressed on her. But she reminded herself that she had done everything possible to prepare. The first witness called was Rachel, the nurse from the hospital. She spoke calmly and clearly about what she had seen. The incident where Patricia had tried to take Liam from Emily's arms, the controlling behavior, and Emily's distress during those moments. Her testimony painted a clear picture of the danger Emily and Liam had faced, and the judge listened intently. Emily felt a wave of relief as Rachel finished, knowing that her words would carry real weight in the decision. Next, Emily presented her own documentation. She showed the notes she had kept about Patricia's interference, Adam's insults, and every attempt to undermine her as a mother. She also submitted recordings of conversations where her mother-in-law and husband had openly discussed taking Liam away. Each piece of evidence added to the clear story. Emily was a loving, capable mother, while Patricia and Adam had repeatedly tried to manipulate and control her. Throughout the hearing, Emily remained composed. She spoke clearly when asked, describing her experiences without anger, focusing on facts and on Liam's well-being. The judge asked questions, carefully reviewing the evidence. Emily could feel the tension in the room, but also the sense that the truth was finally being heard. She had been patient, prepared, and persistent, and now it mattered. After all the testimony and evidence were presented, the judge made a decision. Emily's heart raced as she listened. She was granted full custody of Liam. Adam would have visitation, but only under supervision, to ensure that Liam remained safe. Patricia was banned from any unsupervised contact, preventing her from interfering in their lives. Relief and quiet triumph washed over Emily. She had fought for her child and won, not through anger or revenge, but through careful preparation, courage, and persistence. Leaving the courtroom, Emily felt a mix of exhaustion and deep satisfaction. The legal battle had been stressful and emotional, but the result was clear. Liam's safety and her authority as his mother were protected. For the first time since his birth, she felt completely in control of her child's life, free from constant manipulation and threats. That night, Emily held Liam close, feeling a sense of peace she hadn't known in months. She thought about all the moments she had endured, the humiliation, the fear, the betrayal, and realized that every step had led her to this moment. She had protected her child, stood up for herself, and reclaimed her dignity. Emily knew the fight had tested her, but it had also made her stronger. She had proven to herself, and to everyone who had doubted her, that she was capable, determined, and unbreakable. With Liam safe and her life finally under her control, Emily could begin to heal and build a future where her child was loved, safe, and cherished. Months after the court decision, Emily's life had begun to settle into a rhythm filled with confidence and peace. Every day, she watched Liam grow, learning new things, smiling and laughing. Each small milestone reminded her of how far they had come. Without the constant interference from Patricia and the harsh criticism from Adam, Emily felt free to be the mother she had always wanted to be. She cooked meals for them, read stories at night, and even sang lullabies that Liam now hummed along with. She realized that the life she had dreamed of was finally becoming real. Emily also noticed the changes in Adam. He was struggling to adjust without Patricia controlling him. They argued constantly over money, responsibilities, and the consequences of their choices. Adam's anger and frustration were clear, and Patricia was equally upset, blaming him for losing the chance to manipulate Emily and Liam. Emily didn't feel satisfaction from their struggles. She felt relief that she and Liam were safe, and that the toxic influence in their lives had been removed. With each passing day, Emily grew stronger, not just as a mother, but as a person. She began managing her own finances, making decisions about their home, and planning for the future without fear. She realized that the years of manipulation and control had taught her resilience. She no longer doubted herself or her instincts, and she knew that protecting Liam had revealed a courage she didn't know she had. Emily often reflected on the past, the betrayal she had endured, and the moments of fear and humiliation. It had been painful to see Adam side with Patricia, to hear her belittled, and to face the possibility of losing Liam. But looking back, she understood that each of those moments had shaped her into someone stronger. The pain had pushed her to act, to plan, and to fight for what truly mattered. She had emerged from the struggle wiser, calmer, and more confident than ever. Most importantly, Emily felt a deep sense of dignity. She hadn't needed to shout, to retaliate, or to prove herself through anger. The real victory had come from quietly protecting her child and reclaiming her life. Walking away from the toxic environment and building a safe home for Liam was her way of showing that she could rise above the cruelty. Sometimes, Emily would hold Liam close and whisper to him about how proud she was to be his mother. She thought about all the nights she had feared for his safety, and she smiled knowing that those nights were behind them. The best revenge hadn't been punishment or revenge. It had been living a life full of love, safety, and strength. In the quiet moments, Emily often said to herself, "They tried to steal my baby and destroy my confidence. Instead, they pushed me into becoming stronger than I ever knew I could be." The best revenge wasn't anger. It was protecting my child and walking away with my dignity. Those words became her mantra, a reminder that love, courage, and persistence could overcome betrayal, cruelty, and fear.